Okay, bring your awareness back to the breath, to the body. Pay attention to the moment. See if you could see what's happening in the mind. If you see any unwholesome thoughts, release, relax. Have a smile. Be happy that you managed to catch the unwholesome thought and throw away. Then we repeat the practice. Paying attention to within. Okay. Slowly check the body and see whether you could feel the body. Pay attention to the breath and consciously breathe. Listen to this bell. Okay. Today, I thought of give you the opportunity to listen to my teacher. And today I used that talk in the program just before you, and I thought that was a good talk. Bhante Punnaji, he was a medical doctor before, and then he got ordained, but even before that, he was searching for the Buddha's teaching, and he was practicing, meditating. He was a diligent practitioner. And then later he did 2 PhDs because he wanted to study the parallel religion and philosophy and psychology to understand how the mind works, the neuroscience, and what Buddha taught, how we can relate it to our own body and brain, and so he managed to make the connections with his academic knowledge and also with practice. So he's kind of a genius. I haven't seen anyone in his caliber, not even Ajahn Brahm. So so let's listen to him, and then you will feel. So do you want to say anything about Bhante Punnaji Kanishka?
That's okay, Venerable. I think you know him better than I do, so I think you described him very well.
Yeah, and one thing he does is if there's any Pali words being mistranslated, he corrects them, because with the mistranslations, the meaning doesn't come. So you may not be familiar, but he gives explanation as to why he is reluctant to use a wrong translation, but why he translates into a better one that brings the meaning of what Buddha meant. So let's listen to him and see. Not many people also here, so it's okay. Is it okay, Stefan and Jacqueline?
Yes.
And you all can ask questions after that, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's listen, yeah. Thank you. Can we have it, Putta?
When we speak about the teaching of the Buddha, we must remember that there are different levels of teaching and there are different levels of practice. So this doesn't mean that everyone should be practicing at the same level. So in our series of talks, first we spoke about devotion. That is the basic level of practice, devotion. And devotion really is the devotion to the ideal of perfection. So at that level you are not perfect, you have not become perfect, but you are thinking of this ideal of perfection and desiring to become perfect. So there we pay respects to the ideal, and the ideal is seen as the Buddha. So the Buddha becomes this ideal and goal in life, but we have not reached that goal. So this is aspiring to that goal. So at the second level, we have the practice of good conduct, which is the first step in becoming good, is to practice good behavior. So we are trying to correct the behavioral part, where we don't come in conflict with other people and we do things which are considered to be good, just and fair and that sort of thing. Good relationships. And then we go to the next step, which is the purification of the mind. So purifying the mind, which leads to the true happiness. So this is a higher level, that is the third stage. So everyone is not able to practice at that level. So it is mainly those who renounce the world, the worldly life, the materialistic life, and those who become monks or nuns. These are the people who will be able to practice that in full. The ordinary householder or layman is not able to attain those 4 jhanas. To attain the 4 jhanas is a very high level of practice. So today, those who practice at that level are called mystics. So the mystics are at a higher level of practice. And even higher level than that is the level of the enlightened or awakened people, awakening to the realities of life. Now that is the level that I am going to speak about today, or this talk. Now, although we may be happy by purifying and calming the mind, our mind may be tranquil and happy, but we still have a problem. And that problem is we begin to grow old, we begin to fall sick, and die. All religions begin to talk about eternal happiness and eternal life. Why are they talking about eternal happiness and eternal life? Because our happiness is impermanent and life is impermanent. So this is a problem that people try to solve through the practice of religion. And most religions, the solution is in the next life, after death. They believe that they can go to heaven where they'll have eternal happiness and eternal life. That is just a belief and a hope. It's based on hope and belief. But here the Buddha speaks about this same problem, but the solution is not in the next life. It's here and now. It can be solved in the present. And the way to solve this is not to take refuge in some external supernatural power, but to take refuge in yourself. This is the mature way of doing it. It is the child that goes out to seek help in others. But the mature person is a person who begins to help himself or herself. So that self-reliance is the main thing in maturity. So this is a way of practicing religion in this self-reliant way, which is the humanistic way. The humanistic way of practicing religion, instead of the theistic way where we begin to depend on an external God or the creator of the world or some supernatural being. Humanistic way is to make use of the human intelligence and the human efforts, human energy to solve the problems. Today the world is gradually moving towards the humanistic way. This is why people tend to give up their religious dogmas and begin to think on their own and also depend on modern science and technology to solve their problems. That's the humanistic way. So as the human beings advance and evolve, religion will automatically become humanistic. So today Buddhism is that religion that it's not, Buddhism is really not another religion among other religions. It is a critique of religion, where religion is examined and understood. And this way, the religious problem, which is the problem of existence, it is because we exist that we have this problem. So it is the problem of existence that religion is trying to solve. Now the problem of existence is what the Buddha called dukkha or suffering. And that is that we are all born And from the time we are born, we begin to grow old. The aging process. At first, the young child begins to become an adult, but it doesn't end there. We go beyond that, and we begin to grow old, and then ultimately fall sick and die. This is the problem. We don't like that. People celebrate their birthdays, but they don't celebrate the death day. But the problem is, if we are born, we always have to die also. We don't realize that. When we celebrate a birthday, we don't realize that we have started approaching death. The only reason that we could celebrate a birthday is to celebrate the fact that we have not died yet. We have been able to survive so many years. But still, that itself becomes the cause of our unhappiness. So, all this means that our life is impermanent. Not only life, everything in the world is impermanent. So the Buddha pointed out that the way to solve this problem is to understand existence. It is because we don't understand what we call existence that this has become a problem. We all believe that we are existing. But is it a fact? No one questioned that. If a thing is continually changing, say like the wave in the ocean, a wave is all the time changing. It's a change. So if things are changing all the time, do they really exist? That's the problem. In ancient times, the philosophers were talking about this change. What they saw was, they thought there was some permanence in the change. They used two words to talk about this. One was being, and the other was becoming. The change was called becoming. And the permanence was called being. Now what this means is, if you have a golden ring or something like that, you can melt that gold and convert it into something else. So that means the ring has disappeared and something else has taken the place. It has changed. But there is something that has not changed, which is gold. Gold has not changed. So that change was called becoming. That means the ring became something else. So the change was a becoming. But the gold was still being there in the same way as gold. So that the permanent aspect was seen as being. Now when these Western scholars, they came to study Buddhism, he saw the Buddha speaking about impermanence. So when they saw the Buddha speaking about impermanence, they thought he is talking about becoming. So there is a word that the Buddha used, bhava. The word bhava is being, not becoming. But these translators thought, because the Buddha is speaking about impermanence, he cannot be talking about being, he must be talking about becoming. Bhava as becoming. But that was a mistake. The Buddha was talking about being here. It is because we are thinking that being for the Buddha was not a reality. Being was a concept. The Buddha saw this as a concept. That we form the concept of being. We are changing from the time we are born. We are in a process of change. We keep on changing. The person who is born is not the same person who dies in old age. The body has changed. The mind has changed. Everything has changed. It's something else. But we don't think like that. We think it is the same person who died. So that concept of being, which is a continuity of existence, that is what is creating the problem. Because I am being, I am born, then I grow old, and then I die. So the I is always there, the being. So as long as we think like that, then we are thinking about the change and the impermanence of our being. And that is how we become unhappy about it, because we don't want that. Because we are being, we want to continue to be. And we want to continue to be young. No, we don't want to continue as old people. That's a problem. So being is a static concept. A static concept in a dynamic reality. A dynamic reality. We are trying to cling on to a static concept, which is an illusion. So, the static concept is really emotional. It is an emotion that wants us to believe in the existence or being. Whereas when we think and reason out, we see the impermanence of these things. There is no real being. But our emotions tell us, no, there is a being. I want to be. So we cannot face death. So when we cannot face death, we have to somehow believe that even when the body dies, I will still remain. Maybe go to heaven or go to hell and remain somehow. So we want that permanence, which is all emotion. So actually what is happening is the emotion is coming in conflict with our reason. The emotion and reason are in conflict. And when emotion and reason are in conflict, what happens? Emotion always wins. That's what is happening. That's the point. So therefore we become unhappy as a result. Because the emotion is being frustrated, disappointed. So we become unhappy. So what this emotion is doing is, what the Buddha pointed out was that this emotion is saying, this is mine. It is the attachment to this body. The emotion becomes attached to the body and say, this body is mine. This body is mine, this mind is mine, these feelings are mine, this consciousness is mine, these thoughts are mine. We begin to personalize. And what we call the self is the sum total of all that we call mind. All that is mind has been personalized. And through the process of personalizing, we arrive at a personality. That personality is the myself. Because I have personalized it. If I didn't personalize the body, if I didn't personalize the mind, if I didn't personalize my feelings, my thoughts, my consciousness, then there will be no personality. So the personality came into being through personalization. And why do I personalize this? Because of my emotion. It is the emotion that is doing the personalizing. That emotion is what is called tanha, usually translated as craving. Tanha is the emotion. So it is that emotion that does the personalizing. And the personalizing results in the personality. And once the personality has come into being, I have come into being. So I come into existence, not because of birth. I have come into existence because of personalizing. This is the important thing to understand. Normally we think, I came into existence because I was born. I was not born. The body was born. The birth of the body is simply the birth of the body. But the birth of the body became my birth because I personalized the body. If I didn't personalize the birth of the body cannot be my birth. And if I didn't personalize the body growing old is not my growing old. And if I didn't personalize the body, the death of the body is not my death. You see, whatever is happening to the body, I say this is happening to me. Why? Because I have personalized it. So it is this personalizing process which is called upadana, usually translated as clinging or grasping. This is not just ordinary clinging or grasping, this is personalizing. And through this process of personalizing, the personality comes into being, or I come into being. This is why Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Naturally, when you think, I think, if you say, I think, then, of course, the next is I am. So, I think is the personalizing of the thinking process. When you say, I think, and therefore I am is the personality coming into being. So the important thing to understand is the only way to get out of this suffering is to learn to depersonalize what has been personalized. But as I said earlier, it cannot be done by simply rational thinking, because the emotion is involved in this. It is necessary to get rid of the emotion before we can even understand this properly. So the emotion must be understood. What is an emotion? The emotion is not something that is built inside. This is a mistake that Sigmund Freud made. He thought that emotion is something built inside. You can't do anything about it other than find some kind of expression for this emotion. We have to satisfy the emotion some way or other. So he also realized that we cannot always satisfy these emotions or gratify the emotion. So the only thing that can be done is to sublimate the emotion. That is to convert the emotion to something else which is acceptable. Now, if I am angry, the anger is an emotion, and I want to kill a person. because I am angry. So, but then that's not a good thing. So we have to sublimate that, to express that in a good way. That is what is called sublimation. That is the solution that he found. But the problem is, that is not going to solve the problem really, because he wrote a book called Civilization and its Discontents. To be civilized is to sublimate the emotions. That is how we become civilized. But in becoming civilized, we become unhappy people because we are discontented. There is no real contentment. But Buddha solved this problem in a different way. This is important to understand. What the Buddha pointed out was, this emotion is not something built inside, seeking satisfaction or gratification. Emotion comes from outside. That's the important thing. It's not something that comes from inside and goes out, but it is something that starts from outside and comes in. So, when Freud used the word instinct, which means is the emotion built inside, the Buddha used the word asava. Asava is also very badly translated today. Very often you find it translated as canker. What is a canker? It's like a sore or something like that. It's coming from the root sru. Sru. Sru is to flow. It's a flowing. Asava means flowing in. That is why some people translate asava as influx. But I translate asava in a more meaningful way. And that is influence. Influence. Influence is also flowing in. So asava is really a flowing in. How does it flow in? It is simply starting with the stimulation of the senses. When the senses are stimulated, nerve impulse goes from the sense organ to the brain. That is also flowing in. And then the brain begins to make a decision about what is being seen. At first, there is seeing of something, the process of perception. And then you begin to interpret what you have perceived through the process of conception. And once you have interpreted what you have seen, then according to that interpretation, a message is sent to the glands, and the glands begin to secrete a hormone, and that hormone begins to make certain parts of the body overactive, or some parts underactive, and this way a change occurs in the whole body. That is what we call an emotional arousal. If it is anger, adrenaline flows into the blood. If it comes in the form of a sexual desire, a sexual hormone flows into the blood. So this is how it happens. So it all starts from outside. Stimulation of the senses. So when the senses are stimulated, this whole reaction occurs. And when the emotion is aroused, tension occurs in the muscles. Muscles become tensed. And this tension is like the bow and the arrow. You pull the string with the arrow, it becomes more and more tense. The more tense it becomes, the more it wants to release the arrow. And then there is the action taking place. So in a similar way, the gun and the trigger is also a similar thing. So in a similar way, this whole reaction of the organism results in action, which is the behavior. So if emotion is something that is coming from outside, it is possible to stop that. It is possible to stop that reaction. You don't have to be trying to satisfy the emotions or gratify the emotions. The important thing is to learn to stop the reaction and calm the mind. So the calmness and tranquility of the mind is the solution to the problem. Now that is what we were talking about earlier also. So this tranquility of mind was the solution of the Buddha, not sublimation. That's the difference. And with the tranquility comes the relaxation of the body muscles also. That's the important thing to understand. So that emotional excitement leads to the personalizing, and the personalizing leads to the personality, and the personality leads to the birth, old age, disease, death. All the suffering comes from there. This is why the Buddha said, Tanha is the cause of this suffering, which is the emotion. And the emotion can be brought to an end through the proper technique, which was that supernormal eightfold way. So we have to go beyond the normal to a supernormal state to solve that problem. So this was the ending of the problem of dukkha or suffering. And this can be done only by calming the mind. But the mind cannot be calmed without calming our behavior. So the first step is to calm the behavior. And the behavior cannot be calmed if our goal is not calmness. If our goal is simply seeking sensual pleasure, we cannot calm the mind or the behavior. So this is why this whole problem of existence can be solved only by going gradually. First the devotion, then the control of behavior, the good life, sila, it is called sila. The devotion is called saddha. Saddha, sat means what is good and true. Dha is to uphold. So that is the devotion. And then comes the sila, which is the good behavior. And then comes samadhi, which is the purity and tranquility of mind. And after samadhi comes the understanding of the problem. This understanding of the problem is really the solution of the problem. When we have understood that there is no being, although we think there is being. So this is a paradigm shift. It's a paradigm shift. But in this process of becoming aware of this delusion, it is really a maturity of our consciousness. The consciousness has to evolve. Normally, all animals are just conscious of a world. They see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Through the senses, we become conscious of a world. That is consciousness. But this consciousness is taking place without our knowledge. We are not in control of this. It's just happening. It's happening due to the presence of the necessary conditions. When the necessary conditions are there, it happens. When the necessary conditions are not there, it doesn't happen. We are not doing anything. In other words, it is an unconscious process. It is from a state of unconsciousness that consciousness comes into being. But that consciousness is actually what is called cognition. That is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. This is cognition. But this whole process is occurring in an unconscious state. So, if we want to stop this process, We have to become conscious of that. It is only by becoming conscious of that that this process can be stopped. So this is the important thing to understand. So this whole process of the practice is an effort to become conscious of the process of consciousness itself. It is not trying to become conscious of something outside. It is trying to become conscious of the process of consciousness. So that is the paradigm shift. So this paradigm shift cannot occur automatically. You have to go through that process. Which has to be done consciously. The growth, this is the growth of consciousness. Consciousness grows fully only when consciousness has become conscious of itself. That is the ultimate point in the evolution of consciousness. So when we speak of the Buddha, we are speaking of a person who has evolved to that highest level, where a person becomes conscious of consciousness. That is the meaning of nirvana. So nirvana is not simply calming the mind. That simply calming the mind is samadhi. But when we speak of nirvana, we are speaking about the growth and evolution of the consciousness to the point where this consciousness becomes conscious of itself. And when that has happened, that emotional agitation, excitement will never come back. So that is becoming calm while being active. The action is there. It's not inactivity. But in the samadhi state, it is all inactive. The calmness. But you can be active and at the same time be calm inside, because the emotional excitement never takes place. This is the important thing to understand. And in this process, the perceptual process is going on. Conceptual process is going on. But the emotional process has stopped. And the conceptual and perceptual process is aware of itself. And because the perceptual process is aware of itself, it sees through the process. And therefore, when you perceive a book, for example, there is a book in front of me, and I perceive the book as normal people do. But at the same time, what you are perceiving is not just the book. What you are perceiving is the perception of the book. So instead of saying there is a book in front of me, you can say there is the seeing of a book. So I think this is a good time to stop. You can stop here and you can ask questions here.
Okay. Do you all have any questions to ask?
Too deep,
Hmm?
too deep to understand.
You will get there. Slowly, slowly. So is there any points that you didn't understand?
Not exactly, it's just need to ponder.
Yeah, that's right. Just take time and I will put it to the group anyway, so you can listen to it again. And then ponder.
Mahalinwas, I actually have a few questions from our Friday session as well, but it's connected to this as well. Bhante Punnaji was talking about the, what did he say? The being and the becoming today. And in the previous one we listened to, Bhante Punnaji spoke of experiential and existential. When I was doing, I'm sorry if we haven't covered these topics in this group, but perhaps you can still explain Mahalinvansa. So when we spoke earlier about Yoniso Manaskara, sorry?
If they are not understanding even what Bhante said now, if we discuss this, it's going to be boring for them.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll discuss this on a Friday, on the Friday.
Okay, okay.
But here what being and becoming means, he was saying the bhava has been translated to becoming, which is the wrong translation, but it should be being, he said.
Right.
So it's not
Okay.
about being and becoming. Becoming was a wrong translation.
So becoming is at the level, Mahalinvansa, at the level of the senses, correct? Because in the sense,
So what are you meaning by becoming now? What are you talking about the bhava? Because what the word
No.
Buddha was talking about bhava. So bhava has been translated into becoming. Which
okay.
So what are you? Which one are you talking about?
No, okay. No, what I meant to say was, Mahalinvansa, at the level of, actually it's related to experience and existential. So maybe I can talk about it another day, but I'll put it in different terms. Like, so there's related to today's video. Venerable said that the emotions come from outside and not inside. So he termed as influence. Yeah. So he said, and the beginning of the influence is sense stimulation. So the senses, Meheninvans, this is my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. So you get this data from the sense.
Question, you asked the question.
Okay. My question is whether my understanding is wrong, basically. So I'll tell you what my understanding is. So you get the data from the senses, and then once you get that data, you know, you can sort of go beyond the simple experience, meaning just the seeing or just the hearing, and you can add a extra layer and say, oh, there is something extra to this. This is a sort of thing. So you make a thing out of the inputs. And when that happens, because it's a thing, it's sort of a static. And that's where you go wrong. Is that correct? Like I'm connecting it
Yeah,
to...
I mean, that's one mistake that happens. Instead of seeing the process and seeing how it was created in the mind, the mental image and the experience was a mind-made thing. Instead of seeing it that way, if we find the things in the world and we find it static, and there is someone who is static in here called the I, that's what Buddha was trying to penetrate, to show what you experience is it I am experiencing the outside world, or what's here is just that experience. There is a body, the senses get stimulated by the light, the sound, the smell, the taste, the touch. And then when they are stimulated, that data is taken to the brain, and then brain cooks up a story, and then a mental image and the identifying of that is created in the mind. So what we perceive is a mental image. So it is to that mental image we create the thoughts, and it is to that thought we experience a liking or disliking, or anger or hatred, or anxiety, worries, or desires, or depression, or anxiety, worries. Whatever that we experience is due to our thought, and thought creates the hormones, and the hormones makes us feel, that changes the mood, and we feel it, and it is in that we really suffer, we really feel sad, we really feel angry. So this is how the suffering comes to be, because we were creating thoughts thinking things exist. But even though we like the outside thing and we don't like the outside thing, we were deluded that the fact that it was in our mind. So if someone knows this truth, they will not get caught up liking the outside and disliking the outside, and not engaging in anger and anxiety and worries and lust and all that. So they will be so free. Do you understand?
Yes, yes, Meheninvans, thank you. Yeah, I'll ask on Friday about a few related things because we didn't cover it here. But thanks a lot. Yeah. So just to finally, this is basically that Ditte Dittamataya, that Sute Sutamataya, that's, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you don't go to the stage of the story making, you're just staying at that. Okay. Thanks, Venerable. Sorry for bringing in too many things, but I just wanted to
That's
clear
all
it.
right. Yes. So the others, do you have anything to ask? This teaching is about understanding our experience, how we create our own sadness, anger, anxiety, worries, lust, which brings us a lot of physical, mental stress and suffering. So if you are interested in de-stressing, then we need to understand how this stress come to be. It's through the emotions. How did the emotion come to be? How did these hormones come to the body? Through your thought. It was a thought that activated the hormonal change. Then we need to be careful about what we think, how we interpret our circumstances. So we can go to the level where we will do it in a wholesome way, the positive way, but we can go another level deeper than that, which to investigate even how did this thought come to be? Oh, based on the experience. So how was the experience? How was that created? That is the Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, the mental image, the feeling, the sensation, and constructing things out of that and perceiving it. So in this process, there's nothing static. It's just when the causes and conditions are there, that comes to be. When that is not, this is not. So when we understand this, we understand what we experience is mental. You know, when someone is going cuckoo, we say they are mental, but all our experience is mental. But when someone kind of extremely suffer, we use the word, but we all don't know things are happening mentally and we are caught up in that. So that's why it's good to wake up. That's why the Buddha is called the awakened one. So when we wake up to this truth, we can stay without entangling, without creating all these unnecessary thoughts. So we can live a peaceful life. We can live in the world, but live peacefully because there's no emotions. When there is no emotions, when the system is calm and cool, there is automatic happiness that comes from within, that the system is cool. And there's a happiness that comes appreciating that peace, like a very satisfied feeling, very soothing feeling. So that was not dependent on the outside things. It just stays. It came with the understanding. That understanding is called the wisdom.
Vulnerable. Is there a difference between enlightenment and awakening?
No. So awakening is called enlightenment.
Right. In the beginning of the talk, he mentioned that only nun and monk can become enlightened. So those people who are not monk and nun, we have no hopes to be enlightened. Is that correct?
It's very difficult because they are too busy. Monk and nun means the people who have renown, so they are not busy about earning money and do this, do that. I want this, I want that. They are free from that wanting. So now they have all the time to disengage and just learn what's happening inside. So they have all the time to look within. You see, this is a full-time work to understand yourself. But if you're busy and engaged and 100% all the time, your attention outward, looking after this one, wanting this one, doing this one, wanting to go to moon and blah, blah, blah. So where do you have the time on earth to look inside? Lay person means they are still caught up in the I, me, myself, and they want things for the I, me, myself, because they think they can live a happy life by having more and more pleasant experiences and getting rid of the unpleasant experiences. They think they can be happy. So they are very busy to create that. And you need money to do that, to create the missile. And all to get what you want, you need money. Because they believe the happiness comes from that, by pleasing your senses and getting rid of the things you don't like. So to that, they are becoming busy. But more you become busy, more stress level goes up. This is what's happening today. We have all the technology, all the luxuries, but so much stress, so much unhappiness. Why? They're too tired. Why? They're too busy. How on earth they are going to get enlightened? Even if you're a lay person, if you don't become monk and nun, but if you become a renunciant, you are not so busy and you have understood the reality. So you have understood it's not worth. Then there is a chance.
Thank you.
Stefan, do you have any questions? We always talk about these topics. Oh, we can't hear you, Stefan. You had to unmute yourself. You're still muted, Stefan. I'll send you a, okay. Now try to unmute. Still muted. Yeah, now we're okay. Yeah. Oh, wait. We'll wait for Venerable.
I have a question, but I haven't formulated it properly yet. I'll do a bit more thinking and then I will ask it.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
What's that?
Stefan, Venerable is asking what you said. She missed what you said.
Oh, I have a question which is not thoroughly formulated yet, so I want to think about it a little bit more before I ask.
Sure.
Yes.
You're saying you need few minutes or you need days?
Probably days, because yeah, it's to do with Sri Lankan Buddhism. So yeah, I'd like to.
No, I think you can ask Stefan. We don't know what will happen tomorrow, the way things are going. So ask today.
Well, I haven't. Well, it's about. Okay. I don't know whether the question will make sense, because I am interested in how the Buddhist, day-to-day Buddhist Buddhism belongs to all the experiences, their contact or connection with the Devas. Whether it's something they actually look for, or there's something just there in the background.
The Devas, the divine beings, are you talking about?
Yes, yes.
So what is the connection between the Buddhism and the divine being? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the daily experience and practice, whether they actually encourage the presence of the Devas or whether it's something that is taken for granted.
Well, the divine beings are there. The angels are there. Like the human beings, we have good human beings, bad human beings. The same way that the divine beings also, there are divine beings who have realized and who really embark on the good path, and there are divine beings who only enjoy the sensual pleasures and who are very ignorant, very deluded, and who just live in the luxury, and they like that, and they, even in Christianity, they have good angels and the fallen angels, they call. Yeah. And so in Buddhism also, we recognize that there are good devas. Devas also have different angels, also have different levels of goodness and wisdom in them. So when we share the merits and all that, we are doing it with the Samyak Drishtika Devi Devata. So the ones who have the understanding and who have the goodness and the wisdom. So we share the merits with them, and then well, when we see someone doing good, how we go and help. We just get the natural thing in the mind, right? Oh, I would like to help. The same way, when the Deva sees us that we are doing good something, and in some ways their senses are more wider. They have a wide range of seeing, wide range of hearing, and they have more powers. So some Devas can do a lot of things than a normal human being can do. So sometimes they come and help. So it's good to have a contact. It's like you having a contact with a very powerful person here, like very wealthy person or a famous person or someone who has a lot of energy, money. And so when you're in trouble or when you need help, you just tell, hello, blah, blah, blah. They say, oh, don't worry, I'll give you a hand. So like that, if you have good friends like that, strong ones, able ones, your life becomes easy. The same way, if you are in touch with the good Devas, they do help. So we don't deny that. And if you want to have help, you can get help. But the thing is, we should not depend. The wrong thing is the Buddhist and others and others or the Buddhist, if they keep on depending on others for their happiness, then it's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
Take responsibility for our life, what we do, and all that. And then when the circumstances come that we can't do something and we need help, we can call them and tell them, and they will come and help, and that's it. And we just keep the friendship, not depending, not addicted, not depending. So it's a symbiotic relationship.
Right.
Yeah. Even Buddha had spoke with the Devas, and when there were times that things need to be done, even he have told the Devas to go and do this.
Hmm.
There were times.
Oh, sorry, you continue.
No, there were times where some Devas came and reported Buddha, what was happening in somewhere and whatever not. So there were monks who had the divine eye, the divine ear, who had very good relationships with the Deva. Yeah. Mogallana Hamuduru, Anuruddha Hamuduru. So it has become a custom where you keep them in your side. So after you've done a good deed, you tell them, look, this is what we did, rejoice in it, and may you also, be happy about what we did. And then we know automatically what happens. They will keep you in their good books.
Right.
That's what it is.
Thank you.
Welcome. Did that answer you?
Yes, at this stage, yes. Yes.
Do you have Devas with you?
I do. No, it would be nice. Yes. I do sometimes feel things, but I don't see anything. Yeah.
If you do good work and good things, yeah, they will come and help you. But you need to be careful with the other ones too, the Mara forces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mahaninvasa, can you talk about the Āṭānāṭiyasutta? Maybe it's good to know about that. maybe for
Yeah,
the
the
foreigners.
Āṭānāṭiyasutta, what the Buddha is saying. Well, there were some incidences in Rajagahanwara when monks and nuns were living in the forest. There were a few incidences where the monks and nuns were attacked by these unseen beings. So, they were attacked when they were alone in the forest, or they were going on Pindapath, or when there was no one around. When they saw the opportunity, they have attacked them. So the higher realm, Devas saw this. Even in the Deva realm, there is a hierarchy. Like in human realms, how we have divided the work. There's accountants, there's doctors, there's engineers, there's low class, high class, like that. Weak people, strong people, and the governing bodies, there's a hierarchy. So in the Deva realms also, they have a hierarchy. So the higher Deva realms saw this. And they wanted to protect the good people. So this Vaishravana Divyaraja, Vesamuni Divyaraja, one day he came to see Lord Buddha when he was in Rajgir. And he also got his retinue to come with him. And they all came. It was a meeting. And then he spoke to Buddha, and there were some, whoever came to that meeting also introduced themselves to the Buddha. I'm so and so, I'm so and so, I'm so and so. Some came near, some were far away, some were very far away, some even didn't introduce, but just watching. So that's what said at the beginning of the Āṭānāṭiya. It is very, you can imagine when if you know the meaning, you can see how this meeting was beginning and how everyone comes and paying salute to Buddha. Some were very respectful, some were not, and how they seated. And so it was explaining about the circumstances, the conditions. And then the Vesamuni angel, if we call angel, he started, after he paid respect to Lord Buddha, he talked to him and said, well, in these, among our devas, these angels, there's good ones and the bad ones. And we have heard that few incidences had happened where these bad angels, they don't like people teaching the good teaching. They don't like anyone teaching don't kill, don't steal, don't do this, don't do that, because they rejoice in those bad things, evil things. They are very evil, their minds are evil. So they don't like these good people. So we heard that there have been some attacks like that. So Lord Buddha, I want to let you know, please let the Mahasangha know from today onwards, if they feel they are attacked by an amanusya, if they are attacked by one of these unseen beings, if they can feel it, if they know it, ask them to make that complaint directly to these Devivaru, Indra, Varuna, Prajapati, Atavarunasa, Matali. At the end of it, he says these names. He says, you ask them to report it directly to these higher realm devas. They will look after the matter. In our governing laws in this deva community, then these gods will tell them what to do, what not to do. And if they are not listening, like the king can rule the country and they can put all the rules, but there are few people who don't really respect that. They just behave the way they want. And then next thing is the punishment, how the king behaves them through the punishment. So the same way in the heavenly realm also, we have these rules, and if they are not listening to me and not behaving well, there is rules, and these higher realms, gods, will look after the matter and will punish them. So there's punishments, and they also talks about the punishments where they will not be able to have relationships with others in that community. They will be expelled from that society. They will be, you know, worst come to worst, I think killed mean in a sense, like we have the death punishment, they also have something like that, something similar that the higher gods will look after them, that they will get rid of them or something. Says, so please tell these higher realm gods, and they will look after the matter, and they will provide the protection for the Sangha. So please let the good and the wise Silvat Gunavat Mahasangha know that I came to see you, and I gave you this message to help them, to protect them. Then, so everyone heard that too. Whoever was called into that meeting, the Amanusas also heard. So if they misbehave, you know, now there is an order where the monks and nuns can directly complain to these higher heavenly realms, and there will be instant punishment. So I guess it was a kind of way of, you know, giving a warning, and so telling them to behave. And then Āṭānāṭi repeats. After the first one, Āṭānāṭi repeats. The second one is Buddha. Next day, when he met the monks, he told them, well, you know, last night we had this meeting, this Vaishravana angel, the god, came to see me with his retinue, and, you know, this one came, that one came, blah, blah, blah. And then he passed this message to pass it to you. So if there's any problems, if you encounter any problem with one of these Amanusas, the bad behaving gods or the angels, please send a message to the higher realm gods. Indra, Varuna, Prajapati, Atavarunasa, Matali, Soma, Devi. I think that's a list. Some, yeah, it has more in the list, I think. I use these devas, so I remember their names. So that's what it is. So Buddha told them, you can, you know, complain. So all we have to do is we have to be good, pure. And when you have a pure mind, you have a high frequency. Where you think of them, you will be connected. You dial, blah, 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 ring, 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 ring. Hello. So then you tell them the thing. It's like that. So that is the Āṭānāṭi. If you want, you can read. It's the English version, or this is the Pali version?
This is the English version, Mehenvansa.
If you want, we can go just one round, because the second round is the same thing.
Okay, I'll make, can you see clearly, Mehenvansa, or?
Yeah, if you could read, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Long Discourses, number 32, the Āṭānāṭi protection.
Are you all okay with the time, the two?
Sorry, Mehenvansa. Ah, yes. Are you okay if we read this? The Stefan and Jacqueline, it might take, how long will it take? About?
No, it won't take long.
It won't take long. So I think we'll go ahead.
It is this story, so you can read it fast. If they want to stop you, they can stop you, and you can do slowly.
Long Discourses, number 32, Āṭānāṭi protection. The first recitation section. So I have heard at one time the Buddha was staying near Rajagaha on the Vulture's Peak mountain. Then, late at night, the four great kings with large armies of spirits, fairies, goblins, and dragons set guards, troops, and walls at the four quarters, and then, lighting up the entire vulture's peak with their beauty, went up to the Buddha, bowed, and sat down to one side. Before sitting down to one side, some spirits bowed. Some exchanged greetings and polite conversation. Some held up their joined palms towards the Buddha. Some announced their name and clan, while some kept silent. Seated to one side, the great king Vesavana said to the Buddha, "Sir, some high spirits have confidence in the Buddha, some do not. Some middling spirits have confidence in the Buddha, some do not. Some low spirits have confidence in the Buddha, some do not. But mostly the spirits don't have confidence in the Buddha. Why is that? Because the Buddha teaches them to refrain from killing living creatures, stealing, lying, sexual misconduct, and drinking alcohol. But mostly they don't refrain from such things. They don't like that or approve of it. Sir, there are disciples of the Buddha who frequent remote lodgings in the wilderness and the forest that are quiet and still, far from maddening crowd, remote from human settlements and fit for retreat. There dwell high spirits who have no confidence in the Buddha's dispensation. To give them confidence, may the Buddha please learn the Āṭānāṭiya protection for the guarding, protection, safety, and comfort of the monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen. The Buddha consented in silence. Then, knowing that the Buddha had consented, on that occasion, great King Vesavana recited the Āṭānāṭiya protection. Hail Vipassi, the glorious seer. Hail Sikhi, compassionate for all beings. Hail Vesabu, cleansed and austere. Hail Kakusanda, crusher of Mara's army. Hail Konagamana, the Brahmin who has lived the life. Hail Kassapa, everywhere free. Hail Agni Rasa, the glorious Sakyan. He taught the Dhamma that dispels all suffering. Those in the world who are extinguished, truly discerning, not backbiters, such people being great of heart and rid of naivety, revere that Gautama. He who is helpful to gods and humans, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, great of heart and rid of naivety. Where rises the sun, Aditya's child, the great circle, who in his rising dispels the night, and of whom the sun has risen, it's said to be the day. There is a deep lake and ocean where waters flow. So they know that in that place there is an ocean where water flows. From here, that is the eastern quarter, so the people say, that quarter is watered by the great king, glorious, the lord of the fairies. His name is Dattaratta. He delights in song and dance, honored by fairies. And he has many mighty sons, all of one name, so I've heard. 80 and 10 and 1, all of them named Indra. After seeing the awakened one, the Buddha, kingsman of the sun, they revere him from afar, the one great of heart and rid of naivety. Homage to you, O thoroughbred. Homage to you, supreme among men. You've seen us with clarity and kindness. The non-humans bow to you. We've been asked many a time, do you bow to Gautama, the victor? And so we ought to declare, we bow to Gautama, the victor. Accomplished in knowledge and conduct, we bow to Gautama, the awakened. It's where the departed go, they say, who are dividers and backbiters, killers and hunters, bandits and frauds. From here, that is the southern quarter, so the people say, the quarter is warded by a great king, glorious, the lord of the goblins. His name is Virula. He delights in song and dance, honored by goblins. And he has many mighty sons, one, all of one name. So I've heard 80 and 10 and 1, all of them named Indra. After seeing the awakened one, the Buddha, kingsman of the sun, they revere him from afar, the one great of heart and rid of naivety. Homage to you, O thoroughbred. Homage to you, supreme among men. You've seen us with clarity, kindness. The non-humans bow to you. We've been asked many a time, do you bow to Gautama the victor? And so we ought to declare, we bow to Gautama the victor, accomplished in knowledge and conduct. We bow to Gautama the awakened. Where sets the sun, Aditi's child, the great circle, who in his setting closes the day, and of whom the sun has set, it is said to be the night. There is a deep lake, an ocean where water flows. So they know that in their place there is an ocean where water flows. From here, so it continues with the western quarter, and they speak of the Lord Virupaka and his sons, and that he pays homage to the Buddha. And then, so it we declare, and then we'll continue from here. And so we ought to declare, we bow to Gautama the victor, accomplished in knowledge and conduct. We bow to Gautama the awakened. Where lovely Uttarakuru is, and the beautiful Mount Meru, humans born there are unselfish, not possessive. They do not sow the seed, nor do they draw the plow. The rice eaten by people ripens in untilled soil, free of powder or husk, pure, fragrant, with only the rice grain. They eat that food after cooking it in a parrot's beak. Having prepared a cow with hooves uncloven, they are drawn about from place to place. Having prepared a beast with hooves uncloven, they are drawn about from place to place. Having prepared a woman-drawn carriage, they are drawn about from place to place. Having prepared a man-drawn carriage, they are drawn from place to place. Don't know that. Having ascended their vehicle, the king's servants tour about in every quarter, provided with vehicles, elephants, horses, and devine. And there are mansions and palanquins for the great and glorious king. And he has cities too, well built in the sky. Āṭānāṭa, Kusināṭa, Parakusināṭa, Nata Surya, and Parakusitānāṭa. To the north is Kapivanta, and Joga lies beyond. And there's Navanavitya, Ambaravatya, and the royal capital named Alakamanda. The great king Kuvera, dear sir, has a capital named Vistana, which is why the great king is called Vesavana. These each individually inform the king. Tatola, Tatala, Tatotala, Ojasi, Tejasi, Tatojasi, Sura, Raja, Arita, and Nemi. There is a lake there too named Dharani, from where the clouds rain down. The rains disperse. There is a hall there too named Bhagalavati. where the spirits frequent. There the trees are ever in fruit, with many different flocks of birds, peacocks and herons call out there, and the sweet cuckoos too. One bird cries out, "Live, live," another, "Lift up your heart." There are cocks and kookaburras, and in the wood, the lotus crane. The parrots and minna cry out there, and the little stick boy birds. Kuera's pond of rush is lovely all the time. From here, that is the north quarter, so the people say the quarter is watered by the great king, the Lord of Spirits. His name is Kuera. He delights in song and so on and so on. And he, again, they mention that Kuera, the great Lord, also prays homage to the Buddha. So from here, I think we'll continue from this part. This, dear sir, is Āṭānāṭiya, protection for the guarding, protection, safety, and comfort of the monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen. The monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen should learn this Āṭānāṭiya protection well and completely memorize it. If anyone who does so is approached while walking, standing, sitting, or lying down by any non-human being with malicious intent, including males, females, boys, girls, ministers, counselors, and servants among the spirits, fairies, goblins, and dragons, and non-human, that non-human will receive no homage or respect in any village or town, and they will receive no ground or dwelling in my capital of Alakamanda, nor will they get to go to the conference of the spirits. In addition, the non-humans would not give or take them in marriage. They'd heap personal abuse on them, drop an empty bowl on their head, and even split their head into several pieces. For there are, dear sir, non-humans who are fierce, cruel, and violent. They don't obey the great kings or their men or their men's men. They are said to be rebelling against the great kings. They are just like the bandits in the king of Magadha's realm, who don't obey the king, his men, or his men's men, and are said to be rebelling against the king. If any non-human being with malicious intent, including males, females, boys, girls, ministers, counselors, and servants among the spirits, fairies, goblins, and dragons, approaches a monk, nun, layman, or laywoman while walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, one out to yell, cry, and scream to the spirits, great spirits, generals, great generals. This spirit got me, this spirit entered me, this spirit's annoying me, this spirit's harassing me, this spirit's hurting me, this spirit's harming me, this spirit won't let me go. To what spirits, great spirits, generals, great generals, question mark, Indra, Soma, Varuna, Bharadvaja, Prajapati, Kandana, and Kemasetta, Kinu, Gandu, and Nigandu, Panda and Uppamana, and Matali, the god's charioteer, Chittasena, the fairy, and the kings Nala and Janaseba, Sataragiri, Hemavata, Punyaka, Karatiya, and Gula, Sivaka, and Muchalinda, Vesamitta, Yugandhara, Gopala, Suparoda, Hiri, Netti, and Mandiya, Panchalakanda, Alavaka, Pajuna, Sumana, Sumaka, Dadhi, Mukha, Mani, Manivara, Diga, together with Sarisaka. This, dear sir, is Āṭānāṭiyasutta protection for the guarding protection, safety and comfort of the monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen. Well, now, dear sir, I must go. I have many duties and much to do. Please, great kings, go at your convenience. Then the four great kings got up from their seats, bowed and respectfully circled the Buddha, keeping him on their right side before vanishing right there. And before the other spirits present vanished, some bowed and respectfully circled the Buddha, keeping him on their right side. Some exchanged greetings and polite conversation. Some held up their joined palms towards the Buddha. Some announced their name and clan, while some kept silent. I can quickly finish the second recitation as well. Then, when the night has passed, the Buddha told the mendicants all that happened, repeating all the verses spoken. Then he added, mendicants, learn the Āṭānāṭiyasutta protection, memorize the Āṭānāṭiyasutta protection, remember the Āṭānāṭiyasutta protection. The Āṭānāṭiyasutta protection is beneficial and is for the guarding, protection, safety, and comfort of the monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen. That is what the Buddha said, and satisfied, the mendicants were happy with what the Buddha said. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We've finished the sutta, Maninvasa.
Yeah, now you heard it for yourself, what Buddha said. You see? Yeah? So that's about the Āṭānāṭiyasutta.
It's good, the sutta goes into detail about the kinds of realms and things as well. So it's good to know.
It's very pictorial, isn't it? The way they're explaining about how the people came and how all that I every time when I listen, I see.
Yeah.
It must have been very detailed.
Sometimes, Maninvasa, when I hear the descriptions, I think, oh, they're a bit, strange in the sense, they talk about chariots and this and that. But then I think, if you look at our human world, we have chariots here. So, why can't there be chariots there? Like, why should there be chariots in a human realm as well?
That's right.
So,
Of course they have.
yeah.
Better ones.
Better ones there, yeah. Maybe.
Thank you. I would like to read that again, Kanishka. If you could send that to me.
I'll add it to the group chat, and when I've done the YouTube video, I'll add all these links.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If you want to read it, because the actual thing starts at the middle. If you want to repeat just that bit where that Vesavana God says to Buddha, remember this. It is from there he says.
Yes, it's from here.
Yeah.
Then it's a bit long still, Mahaninvansa. Then knowing that the Buddha had consented, on that occasion, great King Vesavana recited the Āṭānāṭiyasutta protection. So it starts from here.
Book here I was going through. I couldn't find it. How far down was it from the beginning?
Not too far down, Mahaninvansa. It's towards the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you have it in Sinhala or English?
No. I'm checking my Pali one. I couldn't find.
Wait, I'll find the Pali bit and then you can go straight.
You can read it. How does it start?
So it goes from Atako Vesavano Maharaja Bhagavato Adivasanam Viditva Tayam Velayam Imam Āṭānāṭiyam Rakkam Abasi. It's first, so it goes Eva Mesutang. Then it goes Ekamantam Nisino Ko Vesavano, that section. Did you find that, Mahaninvansa? ekamantam nisinno ko vesavano maharaja bhagavatam ettadavacho santihi bhante ulara yakka bhagavato appasana. Did you find that section, Mehaninvasa? And then it goes to the next section, Santihi Bhante Bhagavato Savaka Arana Vanapatani Patani Senasanani Patvise Vanti Appasadani. And then it goes to the little section, Atako Vesavano Maharaja Bhagavato Adivasanam Advita Tayam Velayam.
Because we will do it privately, because otherwise they will get bored.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, it's and then that's when the production actually starts. Vipassi cha
That's good. I'm
namatu.
trying to find that bit. That's where it's Savipassi Namatu.
Yeah. So it's towards the beginning, Mehaninvasa.
I can't find that bit.
This is Diganikaya number 32.
Here. Vipassitsa Namatu Chakumantatsa Sirimatu. Yes, I found it.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, got it. So that was the part.
Yes. So it goes, Hail Vipassi. So he's going through the older Buddhas, no? Hail Vipassi, the glorious seer. Hail Sikhi, compassionate foe, and hail Vesabu.
He's saying even they reverend these great Buddhas. So when the president says, I respect this one, the one who is just, in the corner, they just can't ignore. So he's setting up an example so that it will establish some respect in these people who don't have, and also, they're giving a warning, and also telling, tell your children, they're entitled to use this protection. They're entitled to complain.
So Sakka wasn't mentioned here, Mehaninvasa, but
I think at the end, I don't think he was attended in that meeting.
No.
Sakka came down for the Yani the Bhutani Gatava.
Because it goes Indra, Soma, Varuna, all this, but not Sakka. Yes.
These ones are the 4 kings, the 4 guardian kings, east, west, south, north.
Right, okay.
Dhatu Maharaj Kadevi.
Yeah.
That's what. Okay. So Stefan can have a look at it.
Yeah, I'll send the
you.
links.
I've never heard of that one before. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, then if you don't have any other questions, we can finish the session, yeah?
Yes, Venerable.
Okay, then. So I would like to share the merits today with our departed relatives and friends, and also with the Devas, and with all beings, whoever can participate and rejoice in these merits. May they find peace of mind and happiness. May they also get access to the Dhamma, and may these be causes and conditions for them also to find freedom from suffering and attain Nibbana one fine day. Also, let's make the aspiration, may all the merits that we generated today bring causes and conditions for us to not to find the association with the wicked and the foolish, but to find the association with the good and the wise until we attain Nibbana. And also, let's make the aspiration that may all the merits that we generated today bring causes and conditions for us to be able to understand and penetrate into the reality and understand the things as they are, and penetrate into the Four Noble Truths, and find freedom from all physical, mental suffering, and attain the bliss of Nibbana in this very life. So may you all be well and happy, and especially would like to share the merits with Kanishka Buddha for running the program, and with all of you for participating. And may you all and your parents, your teachers, your family members, your siblings, your children, and your friends, relatives, may everyone benefit from this. May you all experience good health and long life. May you all, you find success in all the good endeavors, and may all your good aspirations come true. And may you all be able to penetrate into the Four Noble Truths and be able to find freedom from suffering and attain the bliss of Nibbana in this very life, if possible. May you all be well, comfortable, peaceful, and happy. Sukhi hotu. Teruvan saranai.
Teruvan saranai. Sadhu, sadhu.
Teruvan saranai. Have a good night.
Have a good
Thank
night,
you.
Mehin.
Have a good night.